But anyway, let's get into it for today. Listen, I know I have a topic showing already. I mean, I might as well just go ahead and start with that topic, right? I was gonna start with a different topic, but since I already have this topic showing, it's what it is. It's one of the topics I have for the day, so why not? One of the this is this the self-explanatory, right? Peter will be honor his word. There's been so many. Peter will is all over the place, right? He's all over the place. The other day he was in Edo, and that caused an outrage from the APC party. Everyone was coming out and saying all sorts of things. Oh, we hate him, we don't want him in our state, this, that. Just trying to limit this guy and trample upon his fundamental human rights. Even as an ex-governor, this guy is not the regular Nigerian citizen. He was a governor. Like, you would think this guy should have more respect in the country as an elder statesman in his own right, right? He served the country, he served the state, and he's looking to serve the country at large. And he's doing what he can, going around to schools, going around to organizations, donating money from his pocket. He's not taking government money and donating, right? From his pocket, from the profits, the proceeds of his business. He's donating to schools, to kids, to children. You know, these things should be applauded, but they go instead it's the reverse. Instead he's almost quoted upon. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? But anyway, that's not what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about him consistently saying that he's only going to be a one-term president if given the opportunity to run as president of now as the president of Nigeria. Personally, I've seen that as a weird move, right? As a very disturbing move. In my opinion, I was having this discussion with my friend just yesterday, and I was telling him, "Hey, I don't like the idea of him coming out and pushing this one-term narrative. It's just not cute. Like, how about you just get in there first and then you do what you have to do, right? Instead of coming at upfront and telling people, oh, I'm only going to run for one term. It sounds to me like desperation. You just want to use that means, or you want to use that phrase to catch people's attention and be like, oh, let's give it to him. He said he's only going to run. To me, it just felt like desperation. I'm just going to be honest, right? I was having a conversation with my friend yesterday, and that's what I said. That's what I said. And obviously, I think many people would feel that way too. But the obedience, you can't tell them anything. That's for sure. Whether he says he wants to run forever, they're going to support him. If he says he wants to run one day, they're going to support him. So the obedient people, there's no you can't argue with those people. So just leave them alone, right? But regardless, right? There's been noise also coming from the opposition, like Abga, which he was, at one time a member of the Abga when he was the governor of Anambra State, right? The current president of Anambra State, um, the Governor Charles Soludo, the former CBN governor and now the present governor of Anambra State. He made a comment recently where he was kind of making fun of the man, Peter Obi, saying, "Oh, if anybody should come out," and he didn't say any name, but we all know where the shot was directed to, right? And he was saying things in the line of, I'm gonna play the video in a minute, but he was saying things in the lines of say, if anybody the Constitution allows you to run for two terms, why would anybody in their sane mind come out and say they're going to run for only one term? That person needs to be in a psychiatric hospital, that they need to check the person, this, that. I think his sentiment is just pretty much what most people would have too. Like me, I was saying, it just reeks of desperation. Like, why are you telling people you want to run for one? And I love Peter Obi, by the way, don't get me wrong. I love the guy. I love his politics. I love his policies. I love him as a person too. Decent, humble, God fearing man, if I may even just throw it in there. Just his character is just different from the regular or the typical Nigerian politician, right? But um, myself, I also struggled to accept what he's saying when he says he's only going to run for one term. I'm going to stop talking for a minute and just play the video of Soludo and then read a statement by the man Peter Obi, and then we go from there. How about that? And typically I should have this on my screen already, but it's been what? It's been weeks since I haven't recorded, so my process is just all over the place right now. But I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it in 1 second, like I always do. Um, I think that's it. Let's share this screen. All right, that's not the one I want to share here, but I'm going to share that in 1 second. There we go. All right, let's share this tab instead. And boom, here we go. This is Governor Charles Soludo making jest of the man, Peter Obi. We're going to take a listen here in 1 second.
How can anybody with brain, you think you are talking to fools? You come to people and say, I will do only one thing. Any politician who said that must be sent to a psychiatric home. Because the person must have some mental problem.
All right. I think we get the context here. I'm not going to play the full video. Just like I said, right? He's making jest of the man, saying that obviously he didn't call any names, but we know who has been recently saying he's only going to run for one term, right? And that's Peter Obi, right? So he's making jest of the man, saying, he needs to be checked up at the psychiatric hospital because he possibly has a mental issue. And today, I think it was today, Peter Obi dropped this tweet, and I got to read it, and it made me have a rethink too, and just kind of see him in a different light, and just see him in a different light, pretty much. I'm gonna read it here just in case you can't see the screen. It's a long read, so please bear with me. My one term, according to Peter Obi on his tweet today, my one term 4-year vow is sacrosanct. One of the greatest American presidents, Abraham Lincoln, served only 4 years, yet his legacy endures as a model of principled leadership. Another icon figure, John F. Kennedy, did not even complete a full term, yet his vision and ideals continue to inspire generations. In Africa, Nelson Mandela, revered globally as a symbol of justice and reconciliation, chose to serve only one term as president of South Africa. Despite immense public pressure to stay longer, his decision was a deliberate act of leadership, a statement that power must serve the people, not the self. Indeed, history shows that the longer many African leaders remain in power, the more likely they are to be corrupted by it. Longevity in office is not a mark of success. Rather, it is purposeful. Accountable service, however brief, that defines true statesmanship. It is within this context that I reiterate my vow. I will serve only one term of 4 years if elected president, and that vow is sacrosanct. He goes on to say, I am fully aware that the decay in our society has made trust one of the scarcest and most skeptically viewed commodities. Many Nigerians, understandably, no longer take politicians at their word. But even in the climate of cynicism, there are still a few whose actions have matched their words, whose integrity is built on verifiable precedent. Recently, I became aware of two statements aimed, albeit indirectly, at my vow to serve only a single 4-year term. One person remarked that even if I swore by a shrine, I still wouldn't be believed. Another suggested that anyone talking about doing only one term should undergo psychiatric evaluation. In that context, he's referring to the video I just played. I understand the basis of their skepticism. They are judging me by their own standards, where political promises are made to be broken, but they forget or perhaps choose to ignore that Peter Obi is not cut from the same cloth. I have a verifiable track record that speaks louder than speculation. In my political life, my word is my bond. When I entered politics in Anambra State, I made clear and measurable promises to the people to improve education and healthcare, to open up rural areas through road construction, and to manage public funds with prudence. I fulfilled each of these promises without deviation. I did not swear by a shrine, nor have I been certified mentally unstable as a result of honoring my word. My vow to serve only one term for 4 years is a solemn commitment rooted in my conviction that purposeful, transparent leadership does not require an eternity. If making such a promise qualifies me for psychiatric evaluation, then we may as well question the mental fitness of those who framed our constitution, which clearly stipulates a 4-year renewable tenure. I maintain without equivocation, if elected, I will not spend a day longer than 4 years in office. In fact, I believe that service should be impactful, not eternal. We must rebuild trust in our country I have dedicated my public life to demonstrating that leadership with integrity is not a myth. I have done it before, and I do not intend to betray that trust under any circumstances. He goes further. It's a long read, pardon me. 48 months is enough for any leader who is focused and prepared to make a meaningful difference. In that time, I intend not merely to make an impression, but to deliver on concrete promises to sanitize our governance system, tackle insecurity through effective and accountable use of national resources, prioritize education, healthcare, and poverty alleviation, catalyze small businesses as engines of growth, and combat corruption with unflinching resolve. Above all, I will dedicate myself to transforming Nigeria from a consuming nation into a productive one, where agriculture, technology, and manufacturing replace rent seeking and waste as our national anchors. These are not utopian dreams, they are realistic, actionable goals that are achievable within 4 years. A new Nigerian a new Nigeria is possible. That was a long read, so please bear with me. Now, let me go back a few slides here, right? He said something, right? That, people want to put him in a box
How can
and want to make him seem like he's like them, just like the Kendrick Lamar's music, right? Right? They're not like us, right? He's trying to tell you here, hey, if you're using your own standard to judge me, that's too bad because we are not cut from the same cloth. I just had to give it to him on that one. When I read this tweet today by Peter Obi, it just gave me some kind of peace of mind, right? It just gave me some kind of peace of mind, some kind of resolute, right? To say maybe this man is just genuine. He's just even more genuine than I even thought he was, right? Because I mean, there's been no other president who's come out publicly and said something like this and keeps reiterating and keeps reiterating. And even when they make jest of him, he comes out and says, hey, we are not the same. If I say I'm going to do this, that's what I'm going to do. That is who I am. That is who Peter Obi is. There is no other politician in Nigeria who can say these things that Peter Obi is saying. And this is me who just had doubts yesterday. Just yesterday. I had doubts. Like I said, I was discussing with my friend, right? Just yesterday, telling him, hey, this just reeks of, desperation. Like, why are you talking about how many terms or how many days or how many months you're going to stay in office? Why not just try to get in there and fix the country? We believe you're going to be able to fix the country. Why do you keep telling us, oh, it's just going to be for 4 years? Nobody cares about that, right? Just yesterday, I was saying this. But me reading this tweet today, it just gave me a whole change of mind, a whole change of perspective. Seeing him even more different than how I saw him before. I've always known he's a good guy, right? I've always known he's a good guy. He's a credible guy. His character is just top notch. He's not the average Nigerian. This guy is an exceptional Nigerian, right? But now reading this tweet and him saying, hey, we're not cut from the same cloth, that just, in the Nigerian context, that just busts my brain. Hey, man, Peter Obi is the man, man. I just have nothing else to say. I mean, if anybody can fix Nigeria, I think he's the one. If anybody can fix Nigeria, I think Peter Obi is that person that can fix Nigeria. I hope he can be given a chance. I definitely know these things he's pointed out. They are doable. They are doable. He may not accomplish them in the 4 years, but you're gonna see the impact. Just yesterday, my friend too was telling me, about how impacts can be seen. Like Nigeria has been ruined for since the inception of the country. Since the inception of the country, it's been ruined. It's been ruined. So the littlest impact you make, it's going to be so visible. And I think that's what Peter Obi is banking on. And I'll take you to Abia State. For decades, the state has been in just rotting. Some roads have dilapidated like beyond recognition, right? But because of those dilapidated infrastructure, all that stuff, right? This new governor, shout out to Dr. Alex Oti, he comes in and he does a little thing and it's so obvious, it's so glaring, everybody can see it. He fixes a road, people are like, oh, Abia is getting better and all that good stuff, right? It's just what it is. And that's the state Nigeria is in. And I think that's what Peter Obi is banking on. That if he goes in there, he'll be able to make an impact that'll be very visible to everybody. Shout out to Peter Obi, man. The man is even a way better person than I thought he was. He definitely is a way better person than I thought he was. But you guys let me know in the comment section if you think he will honor his word. I think he will, just by reading this text. But, you guys let me know. Do you think he's going to honor his word? That would be very interesting.